Start recording button, and we're live, dude.
Awesome. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first Coast to Coast Traders podcast. My name is Robbie, and my co-pilot here is Flex and Joe.
What's up, everybody?
All right, so we're going to be kicking off our first podcast talking about resolutions and a couple of other things too, but Joe and I have been thinking about doing this for quite a while, and we just finally decided that we may as well just pick a day and do it, and since we're fresh out of the new year, we thought it'd be fitting to start with the topic of resolutions.
Hell yeah. Yep. So yeah, well, let's recap last year though, bro. You want to start first and talk about how you feel like your year went? Go for it.
Yeah, sure. So I didn't really start the year with any resolutions. I mean, I always wanted to try to do something, but I've never, well, I guess I shouldn't say never, but I haven't regularly been like, okay, these are my resolutions for the year and I want to do X, Y, Z. I just kind of had a broader sense of things that I wanted to do, personal and, business wise, whether it's my home business or trading or whatever. But specifically with regards to trading, my goals were to tighten up with some consistency, and then also define my base hit. That was a really big thing for me this year, was figuring out my base hit and figuring out what kind of stop was going to work for me the best. So that consistency has been really good for me. I've really settled in on that, and especially with that, my trading in general has improved quite a bit because I've been working on my, A to C game. So, locking in those base hits, not only just defining what they are, but being consistent in taking the profits, has been the big shift. And, that seems to be what happens to a lot of people, but it takes a lot of people time to figure out what that base hit is. And, finally, locking it into their head, just to say, okay, I need to do this. And, I don't even need to have the muscle memory for it because I'm always trading with brackets. And, I will say that there are times when I don't always take the base hit, but my rule generally is my first trade should always be the base hit. And 90% of the time I do take that, unless, I feel like there's a little bit of wiggle room. I'll give it a couple more points, but for the most part, it's, 10 points risk, 15 points profit, and I'm just trying to lock that in. And so that's been going really good for me. I haven't done any substantial revenge trading as far as like account blowing up has in a long time. So I'm really happy about that. I've been doing pretty well at identifying things that I've done well, even if the day was bad for me. So, if I had a max loss red day, I can still find things that I did well, whether it was at least executing the idea, setting bids rather than market buying, which and I'll say I still probably market buy 80% of the time, but refining the patience and working on that has just been a pretty big win for me this year. Last year. So I'm really happy with my progress. Outside of trading, we started the 75 hard challenge in the group. And that wasn't necessarily something that I had planned to do, but fitness is usually always something that's in the back of my mind about, oh yeah, I should put in some effort to get a little bit more fit, healthy, whatever. And I'm so glad that you brought that up in the group, because it was just a really, really cool process. With the reading, the daily charting, and of course working out and all that stuff. And it's so cool because a lot of people can relate to fitness, across the world. And in my opinion, it parallels very well with trading mindset and stuff, because you don't see those results right away. And I just remember as I was, taking my periodic pictures and stuff from time to time, I finally hit that one spot where it's like, dang, it's really, I can really see it. Not only do I feel it, but I really see it, and I feel great. So yeah, it's just been a really, really good last year. How about yourself?
Awesome. Yeah. Well, before I go, you want to just quickly do like an actual introduction about like how long you've been trading and stuff? Because with this being the first one, people probably watch it and be like, "Who the hell are these guys?" So.
Oh yeah, sure. So, well, I joined House of Stacks. I think it was in 2021. I could be mistaken. And initially, I had been interested in trading for a really long time. I bought an Adam Koo course on options trading, I think in like 2016. And I've been in the market pretty much as an aspiring trader since then. And then when I joined the House of Stacks, it was all as a result of, FinTwit and Atlas Discord at the time. But funny, the main reason I joined the House of Stacks was because I had always been a follower of Ripster, but I was also kind of following Harry Wang at the time. He was a interesting character on Twitter, which is now X. But I do remember I was really trying to focus on understanding how EMA trading worked. And Maple at the time, I don't know how many videos he's got. I know he doesn't have very many, but he did have a YouTube video on understanding the EMAs, and it made sense. And he just specifically said, when it's extended, wait for the pullback. And it was just something that I really had never done. And funny enough, I was looking at Twitter one morning, and Harry Wang was taking a directional trade on, I think a SPY at the time. And in my mind, I was like, this isn't what the EMAs are saying. So I traded what the EMAs were saying, and I won and Harry lost, And I'm like, you know what? This Maple guy is teaching, so let me give this group a shot. And, here we are, these many years later, and I've, transitioned from options trading to futures trading.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Yeah, it's been definitely been a hell of a ride. So everybody, I'm Flexing Joe. It's kind of like a gym moniker that I picked up years ago. I used to be a really, really skinny guy at like 6'1", 135 pounds. Now I'm still about the same height, but I'm like 250. I've been going to the gym for a long time, more than half my life. So that name kind of stuck. So I got into trading in like 21. It was actually my brother who got me kind of interested in it. We were in AMC. I think my average was like just under $9, and really rode that thing up, which was crazy. I remember getting in like under $9 and being like, damn, but this thing's like already up a lot from like what, 3 or 4, and being like, I don't know. So didn't put a crazy amount into it, but then like slowly kept adding, and I tried a couple other like names. I think it was what am I thinking of? BlackBerry too at the time kind of had a little squeeze. Played that. I didn't play GME. I don't know why that one just, of course, that's the one that like obviously mooned, but that one just seemed funny to me. And played that, made a bunch of money on AMC, got out very close to the top because I remember looking at my phone and being like, this is just a lot of money from not what I started with, and being like, I'm going to like take some profits. And I took like the majority of it off, like at a very, very high point. I think there was that day it originally peaked at like 70, 75-ish or whatever. And I remember in that morning in pre-market being like, yo, I'm out. And then proceeded to lose it all slowly but surely, as most amateur traders do when we think that every day is just easy and we're just going to magically make hundreds of percents. But, met Maple in what was Atlas Trading. He had posted a chart and he had a BNB on it, and I remember messaging him and being like, what's BNB? And the dude hit me back right away. He was like, oh, breaking base. And I remember just being like, thinking to myself, what the hell does that mean? Right? And like, but I just followed him for a little bit, and he was always posting his charts, and I just remember thinking like, damn, this guy knows his stuff, because his stuff's like playing out, and he's like really showing you stuff where other people were just kind of like talking about like price, and then he would really be showing you stuff. So I joined his room, and that was March of 2022. So I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary. I was there for a bit, stuck with options for a while, and then tried futures. What was futures, man? It's been 2 years already. So I think in the beginning of 23, I think like January of 23, I think was like my first Apex account. That took me a really long time. Had a lot of bad advice. I've said many times in the group, that I think it took me 25 funded accounts to get my first payout. So my first payout didn't even put me back to break even. So it was not good. Not good at all. I didn't have, and Apex rules are tough. I didn't have the best risk management. And and this will kind of tie into one of my goals for this year when we get to it. But one of the the things with with trading prop though is it really did help me become a better trader. I still do trade options, but I think I trade futures. I know I trade futures primarily. Prop, have my cash account. I've been doing that for a while, but really love the House of Stacks, and I've said many times I owe the majority of my success, to Maple and learning from Maple. And however, when I say that, Maple's quick to respond with, yeah, but you put the work in, you study. And I also, at times he's called out, we'll do different things, see the chart differently, get better entries or whatever, and, catch some big runners, right? So, but love trading, and I owe a lot to Maple, and I greatly appreciate his teachings. And I encourage everybody, if you want to learn, the House of Stacks is a great place to do it. So, that's my intro. Last year recap, honestly, to make it quick, it was pretty good. I posted about a lot of it on X. Read a lot of books, maintained my physical fitness. Worked on my like my marriage relationship, which of course is great. Just a matter of keeping it great. Worked on being a father. I got 2 daughters. One of them is in college, the other was in high school. So I'm getting to like the end, and it's different. It's crazy having 2 teenage daughters. But really happy with being able to distance myself from social media, like eliminating like the doom scrolling, getting rid of those like getting rid of like Instagram and Facebook off my phone, and just not getting sucked into scrolling and wasting my time, and trying to refocus my efforts and being more disciplined about where I spend my time. I'm really proud of that. And then I'm really, and like from a trading perspective, obviously, profits wise was good. I'm really proud of Robbie, you talked about like hitting your base hit, and like through, analysis of my trades last year, I actually, was able to determine that like with my routine entries, my base hit should be moved up from 10 points to 15. So that, and I know we talk all the time, guys, like Robbie and I talk every day. And that was one of the things that, enhanced my profitability for sure in 2024. So looking forward to continuing, some of that in the future. But what are your goals for this year, bro?
My goals this year are to tighten up, work on that C game, because although I've made good progress on the base hits and consistency, I still suffer like anybody else from FOMO, a little bit of impatience, this and that. So just trying to work on recognizing when I'm experiencing, FOMO, when my heart's elevated or whatever. Just reminding myself, hey, look, if this is really a good setup, there will be a pullback. So, like Maple always says, be willing to pay more for quality. And if it is a good setup, okay, you may not have gotten the bottom, but there's going to be a retest, there's going to be an EMA tap or something, and you can take a really good, with a risk-defined entry. So, working on that. Want to do some personal stuff around the house, home improvement types of stuff, landscaping things, and I want to maintain reading. I kind of slacked off on reading a little bit since we finished 25 hard, or 75 hard. But last year I think I finished 11 books, and 4 of them were like really big books. You saw that video I sent you about the custom books.
Yeah.
So those books are like 3 inches thick, 2.5 inches thick. Originally. So I plan to read more. I'm reading 2 books right now, and I want to work on just general life improvement, just being a better person, being a better trader, always striving to educate myself and just grow.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. That's all we can do, right? That's all we can do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man, I got a few personal goals too. I definitely want to stick with the reading. I forgot how many books I read last year. It was a lot. I've never read that many books in my adult life. To be honest, I don't know if I've read that many books in my adult life. I think it was like 18 or 19. I forget what the final count was, but it was good. It was a lot of reading. Sometimes I felt a little bit of like, I don't know, almost like pressure, like, I got to keep going because I had other books on the shelf to read. So this year I'll probably cool it off a little bit, but one of the things that I'll keep doing is that, like, depending on the book that I'm reading, if it's related to trading or whatever, I do take notes and write them down, sort of like in my journal as like a sort of highlights.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, I did read a few books that I feel like, and this is probably true of a lot of books, you could just like read the cliff notes and get through it faster. But everybody picks up on different things, and so I like reading it and just kind of writing down what's important to me. So I'll keep doing that. I'm definitely going to reread some books too, like Ego is the Enemy, for example. I don't think of myself as a really egotistical person, because like I would say, most of the time, if I get like a compliment, it makes me feel uneasy. And so, but like in trading, I realize that I am very egotistical, and I think this is definitely a male quality, right? Like we like to be right. And then we want to try to get the max out of our trades. And especially like I would catch myself, my ego, I have to keep my ego in check because I'm always thinking about like the high water mark. So like, if I have a trade and I'm up, let's say I'm up on 50 points on NQ, well, that's $1,000. That's I know my high water mark is. So like if I have my stop at like, if I'm moving my stop up and I'm at plus 30, well, if that stop hits, like sometimes I'm just like, I don't know, I get like kind of ticked. I'm just like, well, damn it, I should have taken the 1,000, like I was up 1,000, now I only got 600 of this or whatever. And that the high water mark. So I'm really trying to work on that this year, like a consistent trail process, and whatever it'll be. And like, if it hits what's an appropriate target, I need to just be better off at taking it off, which, ties into me using TraderSync. I signed up for their software. And so there are two things in trading. You have MAE, which is maximum adverse excursion. So how far a trade moves against you before it either works or stops you out. And then you have MFE, maximum favorable excursion. And so I'm really trying to dive more into that data and understanding, well, what's my maximum favorable excursion and what am I routinely giving back? I've really been trying to focus on, I think this is one of the things that helped me a lot in the back half of 2024. There are 3 things that all traders need to do, and that is make more on your winning trades, lose less on your losing trades, and find more winning trade ideas. So I trade it pretty consistently, in terms of the winning trade ideas. So being able to I still look at other things in the market and monitor them and try to figure out what else to do. But so working on that one. But the first 2, I can really hone in on by using those 2 data points. So I'm trying to use the TraderSync, but really just, that ties into me controlling my ego for sure. Journaling, and I just wrote down like on this note, continuing to journal, focusing on improvements and where to improve. I think a lot of it, like we're talking about, is really the C game stuff, bro. I noticed that like, the ego is a C game thing I got to work on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's all great stuff, man. Love to hear it.
Yeah.
Should we move along a little bit, I guess?
Yeah. So you got some news you wanted to cover with some Apex thing, right? Everybody loves this.
Yeah, so a little quick one. Swaghetti posted in House of Stacks chat a tweet from Kellyanne Trades. Says, I've got an Apex whistleblower. Big news coming shortly on my YouTube. Going to be breaking down the recorded internal strategy meetings where Apex plan to use retroactive rule changes and requests for video recordings to F profitable traders and avoid payouts. I'm livid. Stay tuned. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be following this person and looking forward to seeing what all happens there, because I know, Joe, you've been, I don't know how many other people in the group have been screwed, but you might be the biggest person that's got screwed by this whole change that I know of anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's stay tuned for that. It's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But the main topic I wanted to start off with was a little bit of finish line syndrome that we could probably all relate to. But myself in particular, as we were trying to close out the year, I was working through 2 funded accounts, and everything had been going well since they opened, really solid trades. And then I just needed one more day, right, just to lock it in to get that to that payout threshold. And I started kind of spiraling a little bit, and it's a combination of ego and wanting to close out those accounts and lock in the payouts before the year closed, which also is, some ego there too. I want to lock in, before the new year starts. And eventually I got it, but not last year. I got it this year. But the issue was, forcing some trades, hesitating when the setup was there, and then kind of chasing a little bit. And then ultimately, so I didn't completely kill myself, I sized down. So I ended up, instead of trading a mini, I traded 5 micros, and it ended up just really curbing the damage that could have been done if I had persisted in trading the minis like I had, because as we all know, it's really easy to derail yourself, and you're at the threshold of getting a payout, and then suddenly you blow the account.
Oh yeah,
so
dude. I gotta say,
sure,
man, bravo to you for doing that, dude, for sizing down, because again, that's probably where like it's hard to, I think people would struggle with saying it's ego, but like I know my ego has gotten me there too, because it's just like, well, no, I've been trading 2 minis this whole time. I'll keep trading 2 minis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, you need to be able to size it down, dude. And you did the right thing.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, because, originally I didn't. So, originally you were suggesting, why don't you maybe take a lower target profit? And that makes sense, obviously, right? Instead of going for the full base hit, just try to lock it in. But then in the back of my mind is like, well, I still want to be consistent with, risking 10 to make 15. And so, then with that in mind, why not just go for five micros instead? And then instead of finishing in 1 trade, well, it's going to take 2 trades, and that's no big deal, because with the right setup, 1, 2 trades here, we're doing that all the time, and it still ends up being a really great day. So if I can just pull back, trade the same, but just with the micros instead, I feel like I'm taking the same profit, even though it's half, but it's still, in my mind, it's the same target and the same risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was great, and that's going to go in my rule book in the future. If I just need 1 more day on a new account or whatever, I will definitely be sizing down to this 5 micros, so that way the risk is much less, and I feel like I have many, many more chances without the tugging in the back of my head that's like, oh, you're blowing it, and you got to make this next one work, and losing control that way. So yeah, I'm stoked to be growing and learning about my process and just regularly improving, and then making notes in my journal about what my new rules are going to be, and making sure that I try to stick to those as best as I can.
Yeah, no, for sure,
Yeah.
dude. For sure. I think that's probably the whole prop trading thing, and getting across the threshold would be a great topic of discussion for another episode. But, real quick, I do the same thing. When I was having a conversation with Maple, on Sunday night, had the opportunity to have dinner with him when I was in Florida, and I said the same thing. Like, we were at the dinner table talking, there were 6 of us total. And, if I have an account that I've done really well on in the first 3 to 4 days, day 4 and day 5, depending on how many days I've done well on it, are slow it down and lock it up. You have 5 tops. You can have a maximum of 5 Topstep accounts, which Topstep is the firm that I recommend number 1, just because of how great they've been, and how much easier their rules are than Apex. Obviously, we'll see how that's going to play out. Which, by the way, I did see in the prop payout channel, somebody else got denied for the thing they like to hit everybody for, that inconsistent. Was it inconsistent risk management or some shit? Improper risk management, whatever they say. So that sucks to see, but they're still playing their games. But, if you got an account and you can withdraw a decent amount of money out of it, 1 trade that you trust with a reasonable stop, 10 point plus 1 tick target to get over that $200 mark, and I just take it and lock the account and then withdraw my money. Because at that point, the risk reward is substantially skewed against you to trade any other way, because you're risking all of the profits you could be paying yourself out, because it's not a cash account. It's not. It's a totally different thing. But we dive into that in another.
Yeah, for sure.
another topic. But
yeah, that'll be a great. We could probably spend a whole hour on that for sure.
Oh, for sure. So I think up next we got this root cause analysis convo to share. Right.
Okay, great.
So I spent like an hour on voice chat today. Market was closed. Utilized that time to catch up on some charting myself, and then also have which I did post. A super A+ chart setup that I gotta make sure I post on X as well. That I think everybody should really look at. But kind of where I was talking about that was with this other trader who's been struggling. They have not passed an evaluation account, and they've blown a few evals, and it's really eating at them. And they've been doing it for a while. They've been trading for a while, and they kind of have this. They're really starting to develop this level of impatience. And he kind of ran me through like all of his emotions and stuff like that. And I asked him, like, are you normally this impatient in life? Because everything that he was talking about was impatience. And then, ultimately, he started expressing feelings of like questioning himself as a trader. Should he keep doing this? Thought I'd be further along by now. I thought I would have passed, evals, etc., right? And, we started diving. I was like, okay, well, like, let's get back to it. Like, well, why do you feel that way? Well, because I've been blowing accounts, and I've been having losses, and like some of my wins are really small, but my losses are like big. And I'm like, okay, well, why are you taking bigger losses than smaller wins, right? Well, it's like, well, to hit my first target, I'll move stop to break even, and then I'll get stopped out. And it's like, well, okay, so what's your first target? 10 points. What's your stop initially? 15 points. Like, well, you're tightening your stop, right? Because you had a 15-point range, and now you're bringing that down to 10 once you hit that first 10-point target, because you're afraid of losing any money. But like, how many times does it go to stop you, and then it goes back into your favor, especially with volatility being higher? And he's like, well, it seems like a lot, and he's like, sometimes I'm taking a lot of trades, and he's like, I took 4 trades. I'm like, I don't think that's a lot, dude. I've seen some charts peppered up, like machine gunned out there, bro. 4 trades is not that bad. But the problem is that he's taking 4 trades and they're like 4 big losses. So then I just keep kind of asking why and working my way back, like in the Socratic method, just work my way back to a root cause analysis. And ultimately, it's like none of these 4 trades fit the system that you defined for yourself, right? But you're jumping into these trades that really, they suck. They're sucky setups. And you're getting into these terrible setups. And then you're losing trades. Then you're getting back in after like a few minutes when price starts to work in your direction, and that trade would have been green. So now you're rebuying or either rebuying higher or reselling lower, which then of course the price is coming back and stopping you out again because you don't have good risk reward. It's not a good setup. The structure is not correct for you to be doing this. And then you're taking back-to-back losses inside of like 5 minutes, whereas all you needed to do was actually wait for your setup to present itself, which, predominantly he's trading Maple system, right? And I don't want to like give away the sauce, right? But I'm like, dude, the setups are there. The setups have been there. The setups were there on that day, etc. And he's just got like overwhelmed with this impatience. And it's like, dude, if you don't slow down and just have some patience and wait for your setup, which is the biggest part of trading, is having that patience. No wonder you feel like throwing in the towel and giving up and that you're a complete failure as a trader, because you're not even executing the system you defined for yourself, right? So that was a really good session. And in a way, having those conversations with other traders is great for me, because it does reaffirm that like what I'm doing to find success is the right way, because I'm really trying to be systematic in my approach and my entries and my exits and my trails, all that. And then I have a trader who's expressing. Sorry about the dogs. My wife's just getting home. But I really have a trader who's expressing all these struggles and this fear and these emotions. And it's like, bro, but you're way off track. You're not following the system. So the system makes a world of difference.
Absolutely.
But you had a good convo with somebody too about their stop losses. You want to share that?
Yeah. So I was just talking with this person, and they were basically kind of mulling over where they feel their future is with trading, and specifically because they'd recently blown some PAs. And I was just talking a little bit back and forth with them, kind of sharing that I was recently going through some finish line syndrome myself, and so kind of trying to identify what might be going on there. But a little note about me is that I sometimes immediately jump to trying to help somebody before they maybe request help. I guess that's just kind of in my nature. I like to help people, but sometimes people just want to vent.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was actually kind of just throwing things out there, just trying to help. But then I was like, okay, I need to step back for a second and then make sure that this person understands what their problem is before I just try to start fixing things. Because, if they're not even recognizing what their problem is, then me throwing out suggestions might just be, not where they're ready to hear yet. So it ultimately turned out that they were just not honoring any stops. They didn't actually even use stops. They didn't have any types of rules about daily max loss, number of contracts traded, any like 2 strikes, 3 strikes you're out, or anything like that. So this person has gotten many payouts. So it's not that they're not a good trader, or at least it's not that they don't know how to identify a good trade. Mm-hmm. But if the name of the game is to make more than you lose, then they have to start implementing some kind of risk strategy. And so it ultimately came down to me just sharing kind of what I'm using for my rules, and a suggestion that they might be able to implement something similar. But I suggested that, hey, look, let's stop with the prop for a minute. Open up a NinjaTrader account for $4 a month, just a one-time $20 deposit, so you can paper trade.
Mm-hmm.
And let's figure out if you can actually implement brackets, and then not only that, but honoring a max loss. And because the thing is, this person's been trading without any brackets, for well over a year now, I think, and instantly switching from no brackets to brackets, I'm almost guaranteed that you're gonna stop out quite a bit, because this person is sometimes holding back through 100 points, and that's insane, right?
Dude, how?
It's like, how do you do that? I don't know. So
on micros?
That's what they said.
On micros?
It could be. I don't know. I didn't get too far into that. It could be bigger than a 50K account. I don't know. But ultimately, they're holding for way too long.
Oh my!
We didn't even get into potentially averaging, and I'm not sure if they do that or not. But the bottom line is that the floor is the limit, apparently. So yeah. So I said, yeah,
zero. I'm a hold to zero.
Yeah, right. So the thing is, they're like, well, I have a combine still that I'm going to work through. I'm like, all right, well, fair enough. Let's see if you can start implementing some brackets on the combine. But I would highly recommend that if that fails, go ahead and just cancel the account. Open up that Ninja Paper account, and let's try to work on your risk parameters, but then also your entries too, because the reason they're taking these stops is because either A, they're chasing and not using the right strategy or something, but they're also just not willing to just admit that they were wrong and hoping for that trade to come back, which inevitably doesn't always work out in our favor, which is also rewarding bad habits when you do, if it comes back in profit, and then it's like, oh, it worked if I held. Well, you're rewarding bad behavior.
Yep.
So yeah, we were talking about that. I just suggested things that I'm doing. They were interested in trying to get to a 10-point stop loss, and I'm like, yeah, it's doable. You just have to work on your system, because if he's trying to trade Maple's system, then he's just not doing the best job of it right now, because his entries are just too far from the EMAs. For sure. So yeah, it was a really good conversation. They didn't start the account just yet. I'm hoping to hear back from them shortly to see if they did it, and I'm hoping to be an accountability pal for this guy, and hopefully that he'll find some success and locking down his base hits and become consistent and really holding himself to having discipline with the maximum loss in the day. Yeah, I feel the same way about like the trader that I was speaking about. Is like I've like watched live markets with him, and I know he has a good read on the market and stuff like that. But I think there's just
combination of emotions and anxiety that maybe overwhelms or overtakes his logic, which makes sense if you read trading books that talk about trading psychology. That's what happens, right? And so he just gets overwhelmed, and then all of a sudden it's like all this stuff goes flying out the window for him, and it's like, hold on, bro, just be patient. Your trade's right there, and you're gonna you could hit some banger trades. Just gotta wait, wait for the instead of being on that left side of the V sometimes, or away from the EMAs, away from the system, right? But so what we'll have to do is hopefully that you and I can kind of keep people updated on trader A and trader B, so to speak, on how they're doing,
for sure.
Because hopefully those guys will start to come around. But let's too just like cover stops real quick, bro. Like a 10-point stop right now when VIX is high is pretty tight on NQ. Like it can be pretty tight.
Yeah, I mean it's true, but it just when it's choppy, I think it really just depends. Like VIX aside, just like when we're trending versus when we're chopping.
Yeah,
and that I think is when it really kills the most, because a lot of us want to trade the trend days because EMAs are easier when it is trending. Because in hindsight, it's like, oh yeah, every time it tapped the 9, that was another 15, 30 points or whatever it is. And then we're hoping to have that type of ease when it's a choppy day. And sometimes it takes us too long to recognize it as choppy. And then we've used up all of our strikes, not recognizing that. And then that kind of actually reminds me of some people commenting that it's easier to trade sim than it is, or after I've already stopped out on my account or whatever. And that's because, well, probably by the time you switch to sim, and I'm guilty of this plenty of times, but by the time I've switched from funded accounts to the sim, well, yeah, the market settled down. There were better setups. The environment was just better overall.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that lately too. I feel like there's a lot of really good lunchtime setups, and it's kind of like everybody, just is so eager at the open, just so eager to, just get in and hit the good trade or whatever, and get out and be gone. And it's like, I'm gonna catch this big move, and some days there isn't one. It's just gonna chew people up. I do like what another trader has called out in the group. Saul's called it out. I know other people have talked about it, but you even talked about it too. What you did, you can size down. If you normally trade 1 mini, take 5 micros, and then if you feel like you keep repeatedly getting wicked out, use a twice as wide stop. It's the same dollar amount, right? So
yeah,
you can have the same risk, and obviously to target the same dollar amount, you have to have twice as far of a target. But if you just feel like, well, I'm struggling, with it, and I'm keep getting stopped out, that is something that you can do. You're not locked in to just minis. And if you trade 2 minis, maybe you go to 10 micros, because it gives you more flexibility with that one more flexibility than 1 mini would, because you can scale the micros out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's perfect.
Yeah,
just as long as you're consistent and trading the same way as you would if you hadn't sized down, like taking the same base hits, as long as it's within the criteria, like you're saying, keeping the same risk.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic for sure.
Yep. Cool, man. Well, I think that pretty much brings us to the end of the agenda. You got anything else?
Yeah, I just had another comment about the stop loss, because we were talking about ego and stuff earlier, and I remember I had written down this little idea, and it was about max losses and stuff. And I think the reason some people don't turn on the max loss by default is because deep down they kind of want the opportunity to revenge trade and to come back. And if you think about it this way, our account is kind of like an oven, and when we're trading, we're baking, right? So once we're done trading, we don't, or once we're done baking, you don't leave the oven on all day, right? Because just because I might want to bake something later,
right,
you're gonna burn the house down. And in a sense, when you're not trading with a max stop, that opportunity to burn the house down or blow your account, I mean, it's basically the same thing. So it's like, I know not all prop companies have max loss rules, so I mean, it's on you to grow that discipline to do it. But at least for those of us that are using Topstep, that is there. So I mean, take advantage of it. If you can't have the discipline to manually lock yourself out once you hit that goal or risk or whatever it is, then enable it by default, and don't disable it, because I know people that disable it too.
Yeah.
And so it's just a discipline thing. We all gotta improve on the C game, and if that's your C game, then that's not too hard to work on if you can just click a button.
Yeah, for sure. There's I think there's a setting in there too, because there's like max loss and liquidate for the day, right? So like if you have that set up, if you set that up at the beginning of trading, you just got to honor it. But if you're going in there and you're disabling your max loss, like there's bigger problems there with your site,
for sure.
And yeah, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You just got to take your time. We just got to take our time.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing I tried to reiterate to that trader today too is that like everybody runs their own race. Like I talked about the blowups, man, but I ultimately said like even though a lot of it was due to Apex rules and that trailing stop drawdown thing, I said I'm still grateful for it. Like I appreciate my wins and my just everything about it more, because it had to go through that trial and tribulations, but versus maybe had it been easier, I wouldn't have the same appreciation for it. I don't know. So
yeah, no, for sure. And I mad respect to those that managed to get payouts on Apex, because the live trailing drawdown is a real bitch. And I think that's, for me, switching to Topstep, and for a lot of others too, we saw a really big shift in what we could do when we didn't feel like you were forced to take profit at the very least, on your second or third trade or whatever it is. Because like I'm saying, I always want to get the base hit on the first trade, but my rules allow me to try for more if I've at least taken a base hit from the start. So yeah, it's still something that we should all be grateful for. There's the prop trading opportunity. It's pretty cool.
Oh, definitely.
I wish I would have learned about it, a lot longer ago.
Yeah, because like Topstep's been around for like a decade, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, and I got my first Topstep account like this time last year. So yeah, it is pretty crazy. That is definitely part of my like I guess like my goals too is like just treating it with more respect, right? Because it may not always be around, so I'm really grateful for that opportunity. So for sure. Yeah, well,
if we're thinking of wrapping it up, I just got one more thing I can add, but
go for it.
What do you think?
Go for it, bro.
Okay, so yeah, it was what I told you earlier. So we need to look and think about what we get out of the things that we invest our time in. A lot of people act like they don't have any control over their lives, and they're limited to certain things, and they're living with the hand that they're dealt and all that sort of stuff. And I don't have enough time in the day, but no way, man. Like we all get the same 24 hours. And how many of us are doom scrolling on YouTube or social media, consuming other forms of entertainment, gaming or whatever? If you have a goal, fitness, trading, starting a job or whatever, you get at it, man. We have, like, if you put your mind to it and you really put in the work, then you're going to see the fruits of your labor. And it's not going to be, next week or next month or even next year, but like slowly, just like we saw in the 75 hard journey. There's going to come a point where it's like, wow, I'm actually doing this. So I really hope, especially at the new year, any time is a great time to start something, but, everybody's more prone to starting something new at the new year. So, why not start working on yourself now?
Yeah. It's like that quote I shared with you when we were talking before. If you want to change the future, start living it as if you're already there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. For sure. And then for everybody else, maybe like some little quote to end on here. Savor the little victories as much as you criticize the little mistakes.
100%. Yeah. Just like we talked about earlier, it's great to find the good even in the bad. Reward yourself for the things that you did good, or that you did, instead of always just beating yourself up.
Yeah, dude, you're exceptional at that, because I like steamroll myself, and then I go back over myself like 3-4 times, and then I drop a nuke on myself, and then like you're really good at it though, because like you'll share you know, like a losing trade, and it'll be like things you did well, and it'll be like in direction of 10-minute CBC, used a bid entry, etc., etc. Like you do all that stuff real well, and it's me in my head. It's like, you're an idiot. This idea sucks. What did you do well? Yeah. What did you do well? You stopped out.
Yeah, that's the only good. That's the only good.
Yep. That's me.
Yeah,
that's me. 110%. So,
well, I gotta say, this turned out pretty well. I don't think we really had any hiccups. So I appreciate everybody that tuned in. And for anybody that's still watching, we would greatly appreciate if you'd drop a subscribe on the YouTube channel, and I guess a like. I don't really know if I assume you can like the live videos and stuff. But yeah, hit us up on YouTube, Coast to Coast Traders Podcast, guys.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Drop the link if you can, so they can sub. I think the link is above.
Yeah, I put it in Stack Chat already.
In the Stack Chat, mm-hmm. Yeah. So then, we're obviously going to try to pump this out, and then maybe, hopefully, make it into a weekly thing, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to work on this. As long as they're both free.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Thanks, man. Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys. Appreciate your time. Take care.
See you guys.